I did not shave yesterday. Yeah. Tekking's going rugged. Check it out. I'm wearing flannel and I didn't shave. I usually shave every single day as part of like just my routine. I think I'm going to go a few days without shaving and I'll see what happens. I'm actually not, I don't know, because I've never not done that, but like we'll see what happens. All right. So today's video, we are going to be talking about Basil Hawkins, the mage. His devil fruit, the straw fruit, or the wara no mi. So, couple of cool things about this. First of all, I've talked about his before. There's like 2 videos on the channel, one from like 2017 and one from like 2019, where I was talking about his fruit and the tarot cards and how it connects all back to it and the voodoo dolls that he has and all that stuff. We didn't even know the name of the devil fruit back then, which, by the way, as a little bit of a side note, I am not going to be discussing devil fruits in this series unless we at least bare minimum know the name of it officially. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about Arouges. I'm also not going to talk about Lafitte's because we just don't know their name. We can make some ideas and some inferences into their abilities, but we have to know the name at least, and then I will talk about it, okay? But yeah, I've never made a dedicated video about Basil Hawkins' power. He's probably dead right now. In fact, he actually should be double dead, and we'll get into that as we get into the video. But it's really cool because I get a chance to show you guys these. This is the One Piece Tarot project. So you can look this up online, but this was like discontinued a few years ago. They only made a certain number of these, and it's really cool. They sent me a set, like, I think back in 2021 is when they finished it. They had like a Kickstarter thing and they released them. So you have an entire tarot deck based off of unique artwork of the One Piece world. So you have Luffy as the Fool, Zoro as the Magician, Robin is the High Priestess, obviously. I might just go through all of these at the end of the video. I don't want to go through all of them right here. Nami's the Empress. Shanks is obviously the Emperor. Mihawk is the Hierophant, which is funny because sometimes the Hierophant is also referred to as the Pope. Here's Persona 5 tarot cards that I have right here. Just imagine Mihawk as the Pope. Like, come on now, that would be really cool. He dresses the same. He uses Yoru as the staff, all right? Like, yes. So this is really cool. I never got a chance to show these off in a video. Oh, Smoker is Justice. That's really cool. The artwork on these is so sick. The sides of these are, like, golden. They're really cool. I don't think you can get them anymore, though. I think the project was, like, discontinued. They made a certain number. They gave them out to everybody, and that was it. But it's really cool. All right. So, One Piece Tarot Project. Really awesome thing. All right. So, before I even get into discussing the Devil Fruit ability, I need to ask you a question. But before I even ask you the question, I need to give, like, setup to the question. It's one of those. So, if you guys aren't, like, 100% paying attention to this right now, I need you to, like, put down your phone, pause the video game. If you're in the kitchen making a sandwich, I'll give you a second to be like, oh, shit, Tekking. Okay, well, hold on. The stove is on. All right, great. It just give me a second and just come into wherever you're watching the video and just, like, I need, like, you could go back to doing whatever in the side. I don't care, but, like, I need your attention for this moment, okay? All right, is everybody gathered? All right, everybody good? Okay, cool. I feel like this is the point a lot of YouTubers would pull out an ad out of nowhere, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. All right. So, Basil Hawkins' ability involves utilizing the tarot cards. And we've seen the tarot cards do a bunch of crazy stuff, right? Like, he does have magic tarot cards. All right, like he draws cards that have effects that just like magically influence people around him. Like that's true. He has magic tarot cards, okay? And he also has aspects of like voodoo stuff, like voodoo dolls he makes. So when he gets killed or hurt, somebody else gets that damage, all right? And a voodoo doll is used up, all right? Okay, we're already with that, all right? That's his ability, okay? Here's the question. Do you get those abilities if you know nothing about tarot cards or voodoo? So if you eat the straw fruit, do you just now have the ability to make voodoo dolls even though you had no idea what that even, like that concept even was prior to eating the fruit? Do you get a stack of magic tarot cards that you can use to influence your ability even if you didn't know what tarot was? Okay? Because these abilities seem so closely tied to his power, it seems like they're one and the same. Other option, Do you think it's possible Hawkins just had magic tarot cards before he ate the devil fruit? Because we see him as a child, and he was doing the tarot readings and stuff even as a kid. Now, we don't know when he ate the Wara Wara no Mi. Maybe he had the power since he was a child, and he just incorporated the tarot into it naturally. Maybe. But he was always interested in that. His epithet is the mage, or the magician. So, okay. All right. So, here's another thing. Maybe it's something similar to, like, Miss Golden Week's Colors Trap, where she just had this ability with magic paint. It was like some kind of hypnosis ability that she could use with paint, and it really did have magical properties. Okay, she painted symbols on Luffy. Luffy had no idea what this paint does, and he was still influenced by it. So she had magic paint. It had nothing to do with the devil fruit ability. It also apparently had nothing to do with hockey. She just had magic paint. Why can Hawkins not have magic cards? All right? But then you get to the voodoo aspect of it with the voodoo dolls. That really is connected to his devil fruit, because the voodoo dolls like come out of him and they're made of straw and they like fall to the ground whenever they're used up, whenever he uses an extra life. Okay? So, yeah, what happens if you don't know about the concept of a voodoo doll? Then, like, do you just not have the full extent of the fruit? All right, so that's the question. That was the thing that was bugging me out. Just, you could go back to doing whatever, but that was the question. All right, anyway. So, let's start simple. Let's start with the basics of what this is, okay? Straw fruit. It's a paramecia. It gives you the ability to control and manipulate straw. So before we even get into the magic tarot card aspect of this, Hawkins can summon straw. Now, I know that doesn't sound all that impressive, because straw is typically not considered like one of the most durable, tensile strength type of material. But, we've seen him use the ability where he covers his entire body in straw. That's his demon face, his Gomu no So ability. He basically turns into a scarecrow. Not a Logia, he just covers his body with straw. And I guess also as an extension of this, his fingers turn into nails. Nails are also closely tied to this. I don't know why. I guess because... I don't know why, actually. I think it's because of the voodoo thing, like the ritual stuff that he does with the dolls and all that stuff. Other than that, maybe like it's like scarecrows. So like when you put a scarecrow up in a field to keep the crows away, and you have to like nail the scarecrow to like a post. So I guess straws and nails are closely tied together. So it's also the nail fruit on top of that. Nail would really have enjoyed that from Dragon Ball Z. Nail! Come eat the nail fruit. That would be neat. All right. So he also has that. So his fingers are nails, and his body is made of straw, and he just looks really intimidating and spooky and scary. But that's kind of all he has in that form. He has the straw sword. So, he can right where the guard meets the blade, he can extend the sword with straw, kind of making a whip. So he can increase the range. So that's a unique way of utilizing the abilities, right? But I almost feel like Oda had to throw in the shit with the magic tarot cards, because otherwise, this ability would just end right there as okay, he can manipulate straw, he could turn into a scarecrow, he can fire nails at people, and he has a cool sword made of straw. Maybe there's not much more to go off on there. And also, I gotta be honest with you, out of all the things people could transform into in the One Piece world, you got the Logias, you got Kuzan that can transform into ice, you got freaking Akainu that could turn into magma, you got Ace that could turn into fire, then you got all these cool zones, right? You got Kaido that could turn into a damn dragon. Meanwhile, Hawkins, I turn into a scarecrow. Not as physically intimidating, and also you can kind of defeat a scarecrow with a cigarette. It's like you're done with smoking a cigarette, you just kind of chuck it at the scarecrow and it just there. And also, they are well known to not have brains. So they're also known to be kind of dumb. All right, so, scarecrow, not the most intimidating thing, right? So then we get to another slew of abilities that seemingly have nothing to do with straw or nails. But nail, damn it, it's in my head now. But anyway, Hawkins has his magic tarot cards. Okay, so he uses these to predict the future. They're somewhat accurate. I mean, there's a couple of times in the story where he's like, what? I didn't predict this. But then there's also a lot of times in the story where he's like, I will not die today. And then he did not die. And then he pulls the Tower card. Oh, hold on. What's the Tower card in this, I wonder? Let's see. Chariot, Hermit, Wheel of Fortune, Justice, Death. Who's the Death card? Oh, Law is the Death card. That makes a lot of sense that Law is the Death card. Okay, the Devil, the Tower. Oh, okay. Doflamingo is the Tower. Look at that artwork of Dofi. That is so fucking sick. Okay, so, yeah, at the very end of the battle with Killer, he pulls a card and he's like, now my magic tarot deck, Straw Man's cards, tell me, what's the outcome of this battle? And it's the Tower, and he's like, oh shit, that's not good for me. And then he doesn't die right then and there, although he should have, and we'll get back to that. But he seems to be defeated, and then later on he seems to die later when he's talking to Drake, okay? So the cards have magical properties beyond just, like, reading the future kind of accurately, all right? So when he was fighting against Zoro and Luffy at the beginning of Wano, right, he summons the Straw Man, right? He summons this giant ghostly scarecrow that makes this really creepy-ass noise, but it's really cool. It's like, I can't do it right, but it's just like, it's like some creepy-ass laughing, okay? This giant scarecrow also has nails for fingers. It can carry a giant club that has nails sticking out of it. It can fire nails out of its mouth, you know, okay. It's like a really scary demon-looking thing, all right? So Hawkin states that whatever cards he draws in the tarot deck, and depending on their meaning, this straw man, the giant scarecrow demon, will act accordingly. So, pause for a moment. Is this like, it honestly kind of sounds more like a Nen ability, right? Like the tarot cards are sort of like the limitation with like contracts with conditions. It will set a really cool conjuration ability to summon a demon, but it will only do the things that I draw in the tarot deck. And there are good cards and there are bad cards. There are cards that will help me defeat my opponent, and there will cards that will be deleterious to me. All right, so that sounds more of like what it is, but no, okay. So can he just summon the straw man and have it do shit without drawing anything in the tarot? I think he can. It would just be a lot weaker. All right, but when those cards are drawn, you don't really get a choice. The effect is the effect. It happens no matter what, okay? So this is like a really funny scene to me because he summons this demon. It's staring down Zoro and Luffy. Zoro and Luffy are getting into battle poses like, all right, let's go. And then it's really dramatic, and Hawkins has his deck, and he's just like, oh, yes, my magic tarot cards, my straw man's cards. Yes, he's like shuffling his deck really fancy and just like, okay, now reveal to me the first card. And he draws, the first card he draws is the Fool. I had it over here in a sec. Oh, here it is. The first card he draws is the Fool, which is Luffy represented here, but it's the Fool reversed, okay? And immediately Hawkins is like, shit, that was a crappy draw. Can I get a mulligan? That wasn't good. All right, whatever. We got the reversed Fool. The reversed Fool is representative of infighting, okay? So as soon as he draws this, in the manga, one of his own men takes a sword and slashes another one of his men. And because Hawkins' ability is connected via those voodoo dolls, whenever that one guy slashes another dude, he loses a life over this. Like, one of his dolls is destroyed. So it's basically like, I drew a card, I lose one of my extra lives automatically. In the anime, it's way more overt, where it seems like the card, like, possesses one of Hawkins' men. And then he's like, his eyes glow red, and he's like, I am compelled to attack one of my comrades. Ugh! And then he does it, and then Hawkins loses a voodoo doll. So it's like, okay, the cards can, like, possess people? Is that because of the devil fruit, or is that because of just the cards? By the way, it must be crazy to level up Hawkins' social links, okay? If you're playing like this in Persona or whatever, right? It's just like, in that game, the social links make you stronger, level up your personas. And these ones, it's like you level up the social links. You get turned into a voodoo doll so that all damage gets redirected to you, all right? Hawkins does not treat his friends. He doesn't have camaraderie with his friends. Also, who would want to even sign up for that, right? Like, who would want to be like, man, I want to be a pirate. All right, which crew do you want to join? I want to join the Hawkins Pirates. Okay, well, here, perform this blood ritual, and then you get turned into a doll, and then whenever Hawkins gets shot or stabbed, you're the one that gets shot or stabbed. Don't worry, because he has all these lives, he just walks into danger and doesn't worry about it half the time, because he knows he's not going to die. You're going to die instead. It's like, yeah, that doesn't sound like much of a benefit to joining this crew, but like, man, I really like Hawkins' aesthetic, man. He's like a cool scarecrow-looking dude. I like his face makeup. Yeah, all right, let's join. Like, would you join Hawkins' crew? That would be the one I would avoid the most, you know what I mean? Because the mortality rate's probably way higher on that one, all right? So, he draws the reversed fool. That doesn't help him very much. Good thing that Luffy and Zoro are still just kind of like staring down. It's anime, so it's gonna like, oh yeah, well, let's just stand here looking at each other really cool for a little while until the end of the episode, then we'll pick this up next time kind of situation, right? So the next episode starts up, and he draws the Hierophant. He draws the Hierophant. I think it's reversed, and that means pursuit. So the Koma Inu comes out of nowhere and then grabs Luffy and Zoro and runs away because Tama is sick, right? And so, the Koma Inu is really outrunning Hawkins, and Hawkins draws the reversed Hierophant, and then all of a sudden, the Straw Man demon is, like, emboldened and, like, empowered and can travel really, really fast. So that's what I think I mean about this. Like, Hawkins could have attempted to follow them normally, but I don't think the demon would have been able to catch up to them. But because he drew the reversed Hierophant, that was able to reach them because it's the card of pursuit, and so it will pursue your enemy. So the card rushed after them, attacked Zoro a little bit. Zoro stated it was fairly strong. Zoro was like blocking the attacks of this giant club, and it was spewing nails at him. And then Zoro was like, man, you're kind of tough. But eventually he like bulks up his biceps. He uses his gorilla techniques, and then he uses climbing tower, and he slices the whole damn straw demon in half. All right? Now, I want you to pay attention to something here, okay? When Zoro slices that demon in half, that takes one of Hawkins' lives out of him. The demon gets cut in half, Hawkins gets sliced, and one of the voodoo dolls falls out. A couple of other voodoo dolls fall out too whenever Zoro was dealing other damage to him. But we see right here, Zoro sliced the whole damn thing in half. Like, that's a kill shot, okay? That would have killed Hawkins if it wasn't for his ability, okay? By the way, we still don't know how he makes the voodoo dolls. I said it was a blood ritual earlier. Maybe it is. Maybe there is something you get in return, or there isn't. Maybe all the benefits are just for Hawkins. I don't know. And then whenever he gets hurt or killed, one of the dolls come out of him. It's a technique he calls life minus. And so if he loses 1 life, it's life minus 1. If he loses 3, it's life minus 3. And the dolls kind of like crawl out of him and then fall to the ground and they go limp, okay? And then that's used up a life, okay? How many can he keep inside of him at any given time? We do not know. When he was fighting against Kizaru just kind of started like unloading. He just started spam firing all the lasers. And he was losing like, I don't know, maybe around a dozen or so. And that was after the speed of light kick that he took to the dome. So yeah, you can like quickly just spam all the attacks like through Hawkins, and that'll make him lose the voodoo dolls. Also, Kizaru was able to blind him, so it's not all types of damage. It's just maybe like physical damage that's sent, like, like hacking off a limb or slicing you in half or stabbing you or something gets redirected to the voodoo dolls. But Kizaru was able just to like reach up his hands and then blind Hawkins with light. And that blindness did not get sent to another voodoo doll. That he retained. Okay, so there are clever ways you could get around it. If you figure out a way to restrain or incapacitate Hawkins and just bombard him with attacks, you're going to burn through all of the voodoo dolls pretty quickly, okay? Right. So this is the other thing. So after Zoro slices apart the Straw Man demon, they go to get away, and Hawkins is like, hold on, I'm going to draw another card. So he draws the Hierophant again, except this time it's face up, and it basically means like, oh, an ally is going to assist them. They're going to get away. And so Hawkins is like, well, I drew the Hierophant. There's no point in trying to follow them because they're going to make a clean getaway. So I guess we just call it for today, everybody. you know. But if the tarot cards are connected to the devil fruit of power, just like a net ability from Hunter x Hunter, as I said, like there's literally nothing he couldn't he could have done. All right, it's just like they got away for today. I'll just have to wait for another day and then I'll attack them, right? Then again, he was also making the predictions that like, you will not be alive by the end of the month, Straw Hat. But Luffy certainly was. So his predictions are, I don't know, 90% accurate, 75% accurate, 50% accurate. Is it a coin flip of a chance? Who really knows, right? He does do the whole thing where he lists off like the percentages, you know, like when going up against Kizaru, he's like, this is a percentage chance of winning, this is a percentage chance of defense, this is a percentage chance of offense. So he's rattling off percentages, and I mean the whole point of a percentage is like, I can't remember what the percentage was when he was reading off when Luffy was going to be alive after a month, but it was a pretty high percentage. I think it was over 90% or something like that. Actually, hold on. Let me go look it up really quick. Let me just double check because I'm curious. Oh, okay. So the way that Hawkins read the fortune was the cards say your probability of being alive 1 month from now is 19%. Okay, so a 19% chance that Luffy would survive, and I guess a 81% chance he would die, right? Okay, so those are not great odds, but Oda did, you know, I'm glad Oda didn't do the thing where it's like, the cards have said you will die 100%, and it's like, okay, well, Luffy survived, so your cards are bullshit, Hawkins. No, I mean, he said there's a 19% chance Luffy got lucky. That's almost 1 in 5. Luffy had a shot, right? Like, yeah, that's a chance, right? Sure, right? Yeah. You know, that's like rolling a d20 and getting anything higher than like a 16. You could do that, or a 17, I guess. Yeah, you're fine. You're good. Okay, so that's kind of all we get from Hawkins at the beginning of Wano. I mean, we see him. He does other stuff, you know, like searching for like Osoba mask and everything. But it wasn't really until the raid on Onigashima that we get to like see his abilities again. He fights against Killer, which I remember making this joke way back when I was doing the reviews, but still, it has to be said again. Hawkins, dude, you have the ability of straw. You turn into a scarecrow. You summon a giant scarecrow effigy demon thing to attack your enemies. And number one, you're fighting in a burning castle, so that can't be good. It never really comes up. But the second thing is, you're going up against a guy called Killer, whose primary weapon are rotating giant razor thresher blades. That's what Killer does. With these murder blades that spin like crazy, that are like scythe blades. And I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if you know anything about farming. I don't know either, but I'm wearing flannel, so my farming stat goes up 20% just by wearing the magical flannel. You know, put on flannel. I know more about agriculture all of a sudden. Holy shit! You know, but no, it's you use a scythe to like cut down wheat and straw and whatnot, right? So I think I think Killer had an advantage there. I think he had like the super effective bonus, you know, right? Okay. So yeah. Is steel strong against grass in Pokemon? I don't think it is. What's steel and grass? Are they just neutral? Probably just neutral. They need to change that. Okay? Like this from this fight, they need to change that. Okay. So let me go through this fight really quick with you, okay? So Killer can't really deal a lot of damage to Hawkins because Kid has a voodoo doll that Hawkins possesses. Hawkins, at some point, made a voodoo doll of Kid, and so Kid and Law are off fighting Big Mom, all right? So every time Killer tries to harm Hawkins, Kid is the one that gets stabbed and hurt instead, right? Okay. So Killer's got to figure out some way to nullify this ability. All right, so the voodoo doll that Hawkins has of Kid is kept inside of his arm, and then Killer is like, wait a second, Kid doesn't have a left arm. So he uses his murder blades, he uses his like spinning sonic blades to slice off Hawkins's left arm. Now this is interesting, because we do see Kid's left arm, his robot arm, his metal arm, fall off from this. But Hawkins still incurs the damage and he loses an arm, okay? So that means the ability of the voodoo dolls does not just transfer for the damage alone, like just the sheer force. when you slice off an arm, it's like the power requires a tribute of flesh and bone and muscle and blood. Okay, so he slices off Hawkins' arm. The damage redirects to Kid. Kid loses his metal arm, but the ability is like, that's not good enough. We need blood. So it defaults back to Hawkins, and Hawkins loses his left arm, all right? So that's interesting in its own right. Then Killer picks up Hawkins' arm while Hawkins is on the ground like, oh, God, why? And then so he picks up the arm. He pulls out the voodoo doll and destroys it. So if you physically destroy the voodoo doll, then I guess it's gone. The ability doesn't work anymore because it's able to incur a couple of damage without actually disappearing before that. But at any rate, so keep in mind, he destroys that voodoo doll. Killer does. And then he asks Hawkins, how many more of these do you have left? And then Hawkins is like, congratulations, that was the last one. So I don't have any more voodoo dolls. It's just me now, okay? Then he summons the straw man. He summons the giant demon. It attacks Killer. Killer uses his scythe blades and slices the scarecrow demon. As we already established, slicing the scarecrow demon hurts Hawkins. Zorro did it. The damage had to redirect. So, since Hawkins just said he doesn't have a voodoo doll anymore, he's used them all up, Killer stabbing and slicing the straw man in half, decapitating the damn thing, should have killed Hawkins right there on the spot, but it didn't. So the straw man dies, Hawkins is still perfectly fine, and he's like, it doesn't matter, because even the straw man, when he's killed, can be revived. The straw man never dies. And so I'm also very much aware that straw man is also a logical fallacy. So, you know, that's what's Hawkins's favorite logical fallacy? The straw man. Yeah, anyway. So then that's the point where he's like, cards, show me the way. It's a real heart of the cards type Yu-Gi-Oh bullshit moment. It really is. It's a moment where he's like, the cards will decide this battle. Now, show me the outcome. Heart of the cards. Oh, shit, it's the tower. Okay. And he immediately realizes he's dead. And then Killer uses Spin and Sonic, and he just slices apart Hawkins right there. Awesome. By the way, go back and watch the fight scene in the anime. They went hard with this, and they didn't have to, okay? It's not Luffy versus Kaido. It's not Lawn Kid versus Big Mom. It's just Hawkins versus Killer. But look at this death shot. When Hawkins is collapsing, blood's gushing from him, everything's in black and white except the death card, which is floating around there. It's just like, the death card. It means death. Because it says death, so it means death. It doesn't really mean, like, literal death, okay? It's like change and stuff like that, right? I don't really know much. I don't know much about tarot. It's just that I have a few tarot decks. Actually, that's curious. I actually don't believe in any of this. But I have a tarot deck of One Piece. I have a tarot deck of Persona. I have a Buffy the Vampire Slayer tarot deck. I have this tarot deck for Dummies set. I just like the way the cards look. And I love Persona. That's the other reason. Okay, so then at that point, he slices down Hawkins. Hawkins gushes blood. He hits the ground. And then the narrator comes on and explains what the tower signifies, right? Like, you know, and that's the end of that episode, and that's the end of Hawkins. Now, Hawkins shows up one more time after this to Drake, where he's, like, all bleeding and dying, and he's like, I predicted that one person wasn't going to make it out of here. There was, like, a 1 or 2% chance that one person was going to survive. It turns out that was me. I guess Hawkins is dead. It sucks because we didn't even really get to see that many cards in the tarot. Which ones did we get to see? He pulled the Hierophant twice. We got to see the Fool. We used the Tower. He used Death. To me, personally, I think Wheel of Fortune sounds the coolest, but whatever. I also really like JoJo Stardust Crusaders. What's your favorite stand based on the tarot from JoJo Part 3, okay? So they use the death card more in the anime, I think. You see it in Sabaody where you don't see it in the manga, and then he uses it. It basically summons a giant scythe blade on the straw man demon, and it attacks Killer. But, you know, that would be so cool to think about all the other abilities that it could have done, right? Like, you know, like what happens if he pulled the Empress or the High Priestess or the Emperor? You know, if he pulls the Emperor and the straw man card just gets a giant gun. It's just gun. You know, since we're at the end of the video, let's go through all the other ones because, you know, this is a really cool deck. Okay, so we went through those ones up to the Hierophant. Okay, the Lover's card is the Mary, as the Mary is burning. We also see the Sunny back there. Then we have the Chariot, which is Sanji. We have Strength, which is this really cool piece of artwork of Frankie holding a lion's mane of the Thousand Sunny. That's really cool. We have the Hermit, which is Brooke. That actually works perfectly for Brooke. The Wheel of Fortune, which is Sabo. And it's a really cool scene where we see Sabo as a little kid holding on to his older self, and Sabo's holding the Marimarinomi over him. That's really neat. Justice is Smoker. Really badass scene of Smoker there. The Star card. Star Platinum! That's, who is that? Oh, it's Vivi. It's Vivi. It's Vivi. It's Vivi. Okay, it's Vivi. Sorry, took me a second because her hair is like half white, half blue. But then I realized, wait, no, it's Vivi. Okay, the Star is Vivi. I'm pretty sure that's Vivi. The Moon is Usopp. That's pretty cool. The Sun is Chopper. Look at Chopper. Aw, is all the sunflowers. That's cool. Judgment is Rayleigh. And Zawurudo is Goldie Roger, which is very appropriate because the whole story of the tarot, I know this much, is it's the Fool is like the card 0, the Fool is like the main character that's going through all these trials and tribulations, right? And eventually becomes the world, eventually achieves the world. You go from the Fool to Zawurudo, okay? And then Roger is king of the pirates. Luffy wants to be king of the pirates. So that's actually a really cool way to depict it there. Now, there are some other ones. Oh, the Hanged Man is Ace. I missed that one. The Hanged Man is Ace. Now, there's a lot more cards. That's like the major arcana, but there's like the minor arcana that also exist. And so I'm not going to go through every single one because it's a really big deck. Maybe I'll do that on like a live stream at some point. But we have like Boa for Ace of Cups. And we have Bon Clay for 2 of Cups. 3 of Cups are the 3 brothers, Ace, Luffy, and Sabo hanging out. You know, 5 of Cups is Pudding. 6 of Cups is Brook and Laboon. So it's just really amazing artwork from all of these. Oh, the 4 of Cups was Kuzan with his penguin. That's so cute. So, like, yeah, it's a really, really interesting kind of thing. It's one of my more favorite kind of things that I have because I just don't think they are in production anymore, right? But anyway, that's the video about the Wara Wara no Mi. Oh, okay, Awakening, right? Awakening. Sorry. I feel like it has to be already awakened, though, right? Like, maybe that is the awakening the entire time. I guess the Paramecia awakening would be he turns other things into straw. And also, considering that the awakenings played such a big role in Wano. Like, we saw Luffy awaken, and then Kid and Law also awakened, and it was very clear that, like, they had those abilities. I feel like if Hawkins had an awakening, he would have specified it as an awakening. All right, so I don't think it was, but I really do think, and I think, like, the card thing, he was able to do that before. We just didn't see him do that much stuff with it. I don't know. Was he able to do the Strawman Demon thing, like, back at Sabaody before the 2-year time skip? Because we didn't see him do it with Kizaru. He just uses Gomo no So with Kizaru, right? So you feel like if he could have done the Strawman Demon thing, he would have done that with Kizaru, but he didn't. Maybe he was worried about the risk, because it seems like only with the Strawman is when, you know, he has to draw cards from the deck, and he didn't want to risk it, or maybe something. I don't really know. Actually, I feel like this has to be an awakening because, like, he's drawing cards and influencing other people around him. All right, if the tarot is directly linked to his Devil Fruit ability, that's the awakening, 100%. But if the tarot is just something he can do on his own, he just had magic tarot cards before this, like even before he ate the Wara Wara no Mi, he could have drawn a card and that could have influenced people around him. Like, if that was the case, then it's not the awakening. I guess, honestly, if nothing else, it just kind of makes the devil fruit more boring, because all that the awakening would have been able to do is turn the surrounding area into straw, which definitely would have its applications the same way that Doflamingo can turn the surrounding area into string. It would probably be similar to Dofi's, just not as multifaceted because straw is not as durable as string. Well, I mean, you can make rope out of straw, and the nail aspect of it exists too. So maybe he could make the world into like a straw, like building, straw ground and forest, and then like nails will come out and stab the enemy or something like that. And then when he draws a tarot card there, like, I have drawn the High Priestess. Okay, so what ability does that do? I feel like we can do an entire live stream just going through the major arcana of the tarot deck and talking about what abilities Hawkins could have gleamed from them, you know? That's something like I wish we would have seen more, all right? Because we only got to see like 4 or 5 tarot cards. And like, dude, there's like 23 of these damn things, plus all the other ones. We could have seen some cool shit with this, right? Well, I guess Hawkins could still be alive. I mean, it's One Piece after all, right? But, yeah, the Awakening Man probably just, he makes a bunch of straw men. He makes a bunch of scarecrows all around the battlefield, and they can, like, attack as well. He makes an army of straw men. That's actually, I could see him doing that as an Awakening, right? An army of scarecrows. That seems right up his alley. That seems kind of creepy. And maybe each individual scarecrow, maybe he draws multiple cards. Because from what we've seen, he draws only 1 card at a time with his Strawman demon. Maybe the awakening is he draws like, I've summoned 5 strawmen to attack you. I will draw 5 cards, you know? And then it just really does become a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Really, at the end of the day. I activate Berserker Soul. Berserker Soul? You know, it's like, what does that do? Allow me to explain. All right. So, yeah, that's actually a pretty cool idea. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do an entire live stream based off of Basil Hawkins in memoriam. Maybe. All right. Well, that's the video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Next video up is going to be Magellan's Doku Doku no Mi, the Venom fruit, a fruit that you'd think I would have made a video about already. I've made a video about Magellan, like, 8 years ago, but I never made a video dedicated about the Venom fruit, so we'll be talking about that. And before we go, let's talk about some trees, okay? Tree facts today. We got the sassafras tree for the letter S. I knew I had to pick that one because it just sounds cool. Sassafras. All right. The sassafras tree grows in eastern and southeastern United States, so from Maine all the way down to Texas. You don't see a range like that very often. From Maine all the way to Texas. They have polymorphic leaves, meaning there are 3 distinctive shapes with these leaves. You could have oval-shaped, you could have mitten-shaped, and then you could have ones that are like 3-lobed, like 3 different like points coming off of them. And here's an image of what all the different unique leaves look like. You know, now that I'm looking at these, I've definitely seen these trees before because I'm right in that range. I've definitely seen leaves that have that, like, you know, mitten shape, that kind of like have that little section like jutting off from the side of it. Absolutely. If you crush the leaves, they have like kind of a citrusy, tangy kind of aroma. And that makes sense because the indigenous people of the Americas use this tree to make root beer. Root beer! That's right, root beer. They also could use it to brew tea, which was really good at helping colds and fevers and various digestive issues. But no, yeah, root beer. That's really the main thing about the sassafras tree. Now, because of, you know, when the Europeans came over here into the New World, right, and they started stumbling upon all these different plants and trees and stuff they've never seen before, and they brought them back to Europe, this was one of the first trees they brought back, or one of the first plants, you know, to bring back, because they thought it was some magic tree. You can imagine this probably happened a lot back in the day, like, ah, yes, I have been to the New World, and they have all sorts of plant life we've never seen before. Plants that could brew tea, that could make you live forever or heal any wound. It was probably a lot of shit like that. You could also imagine a lot of, like, snake oil salesmen back in the day, you know, passing that stuff off. Like, oh, this is a special plant that grows only in the New World, in the most exotic regions of the world. It produces this blood red fruit, or is it perhaps a vegetable called a tomato? And the tomato will heal any wound. Woo, because tomatoes didn't exist in Europe before the Columbian Exchange. Neither did potatoes or pineapples, for that matter. They brought back pineapples, like, look at this pineapple. It is the cure to what ails you. And if you've never seen it before, you're like, whoa. It's like, what is this strange thing? You know what I mean? So, there were people that were, screwing with people's, like, oh yeah, here you go, take a pineapple, give me my money. Oh, thank you, here you go, pineapple to heal any injury. Okay, I'm out of here. And then he leaves, right? You know that shit happened. Okay. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. That was the Sassafras Tree, Teching 101 signing out. Later.